am Professor Elliot Kola. I teach in the Arabic and Islamic Studies program. And it's a real delight to welcome our guests tonight. I'm going to start by welcoming the first guest who's actually arrived. And then as the evening goes on, we're going to welcome the next guest. So we're all here. What's brought us here is the English translation of Shahad Al Rawi's novel, her debut novel, translated as The Baghdad Clock, and some of you have copies. Shahad, inshallah, will be joining us very soon, at which point I'll say a few words about her. But first, just to get the ball rolling, I'd like to welcome our translator, the person who produced the English version of Shahad Al Rawi's novel. Luke Leafgren received a PhD in comparative literature from Harvard University in 2012, after taking an undergraduate degree in English and theology from Columbia University and the University of Oxford. He's translated several Arabic novels into English, including works by Najwa Barakat. So if you're a Najwa Barakat fan, look for those. And he teaches Arabic at the university, at Harvard University, where he also serves as an assistant dean of Harvard College, which means it's sort of like it's one step up, or maybe 10 steps up from an RA. But you deal with the students at 1 a.m.
So I live with students in one of the undergraduate houses and do academic advising, career advising, personal support, counseling, that sort of thing, and the occasional 1 a.m. crisis.
Okay. And if that isn't enough, Dr. Leafgren is also an avid sailor and invented, if I understand, or designed the stand portable. It's the stand?
That's right.
Okay.
I think I can take that on my own.
Portable standing desk. So any of those are topics we can talk about tonight. So we're sort of improvising right now. What we thought we would do is start with a short video, and then when that's over, we'll talk a little about. We'll start talking about the novel and process of translation. Here we go.
أيها الطيار، من لطفك لا تحلق فوق الماضي، إنك تصور خطواتي في الطريق وتحصي أنفاسي في الهواء وتعرقل ظلي عن ممارسة هوايته في ملاحقتي. كنت أعرف أن هنالك رواية تنتظرني لأكتبها، رواية ولدت من عبارات سياسية ثلاث: حرب الخليج الثانية، الحصار، سقوط بغداد. هذه العبارات كانت تخيفني ليس لآثارها المباشرة على حياتي، بل لأنها كانت تريد أن تختصر حياتي. في فصل طفولة الأشياء الواضحة كانت المحلة قد تأسست، وبدأ الشخوص يتحركون داخل شوارعها. الطفلة التي تركتها تسرفر أخذت على عاتقها تأسيس المكان بسذاجة. تركتها تخدعني للمرة الثانية وتمرر علي طريقتها في رؤية الأشياء. في الفصل الثاني، هل أنا خائفة؟ تدخلت المراهقة. حاولت أن أجعلها أكثر مرحاً رغم شعورها بمرارة الحياة التي تنهار أمامها. كانت تبكي أمام بيوت الجيران الذين بدأوا رحلتهم بعيداً عن البلاد، لكنها كانت تعالج أحزانها بالوقوع في الحب وسماع الأغاني. قرأت مرة لمارك توين أن أفضل تكنيك هو اللا تكنيك. هذه العبارة جعلتني أمارس حريتي في الكتابة دون تردد. أتذكر عدد المرات التي قررت فيها أن أتوقف عن مواصلة كتابة الرواية ثم تراجعت عن قراراتي. عندما تنزل بمروحيتك قريبا من حافات بيوتنا ينتفض غبار أرواحنا وتفز العصافير والفخات والفراشات، تفز الذكريات وتشهق أنفاسها نحو سماء هي حصة محلتنا من الرحمة. أيها الطيار كن رحيما بنا، لا تخدش هذه السماء، لقد ربيناها بالأحلام والأدعية والتنهدات والضحكات والأغاني وولولة الأمهات.
So, I should add that part of the reason we're speaking about this novel, and part of the reason why the novel's had so much readership, not just in Iraq, but across the Arab world, is that it was shortlisted for the IPAF, also known as the Arabic Booker Prize, a number of years ago, which has played such a big role in promoting novel production in the Arab world. So, why don't I just let you begin?
Sure. So, yes, shortlisted for the International Prize for Arabic Fiction in 2018. And that organization, the IPAF, is actually the one that flew Shahad to the United States and has arranged for this tour. This is our 9th stop on the tour. And it's been a really wonderful experience to get to know Shahad better and discuss the work in a different way. She and I had communicated by email, but it was actually the first time that I had met her when she arrived about 10 days ago, just under 2 weeks.
Hello. How are you? Nice to meet you.
And ahlan wa sahlan, Shahad.
Hi, أهلا وسهلا.
Alhamdulillah, salam.
Allah يسلمك.
Speaking of arrivals,
yes.
We just began.
Oh,
and,
you began. Okay.
I was explaining that this is the first time that we met about 2 weeks ago when you arrived for this tour, and I was just in the middle of saying thank you to Elliot and the Center for Contemporary Arabic Studies here, and to Mohammed and the students who were here earlier. We've really enjoyed being here at Georgetown. So, yeah, thank you for having us. You mentioned that it was shortlisted for the Arabic Booker. It also received the Edinburgh First Book Award in 2018, so this is last November, another really exciting award for this novel. The criteria for that award is that the book needs to be an author's debut novel and it needs to be translated into English, and Shahad's novel was one of 49 books up for that, or under consideration, and then it ended up winning. So it's really received a lot of favorable attention both from readers and from critics. But do you want to introduce Shahad a little bit more, and then?
Yes. So I'll just say briefly, our guest, our other guest tonight, and the reason why, in fact, all of us are here, is Shahad Al Rawi, who was born in Baghdad in 1986.
You make me old, huh?
You make me feel that you're so young.
Oh, thank you so much.
She is a writer and a novelist, and Baghdad Clock is her debut novel, which went through 3 printings in the first months of publication. I would love to hear about that and distribution in the Arab world, because those are oftentimes interesting stories. She recently completed a PhD in anthropology in Dubai. So I should say Dr. Al Rawi.
Recently, as in 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah,
just
2
before
weeks
she
ago,
came.
yeah.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Brevity is better than me droning on. So let's just dive in.
Let me hand it over to Shahad to start.
Okay, first of all, thank you guys for coming. I'm very happy that you're here. I'm Shahad Al Rawi. I'm a novelist from Iraq originally. But let me say something. Sorry for that, but I cannot talk about my novel without stopping at the event in my country. Since these days, like since 1st of October, the Iraqi Baghdad and the other Iraqi cities have been witnessing a demonstration by young people. They went to demand their rights. I mean their rights by that's mean that very simplest conditions that any human beings deserved, but they found life bullets waiting for them. So non-governmental offices have been closed by the government, and even they isolated by cut the internet services from, because my people was isolated from the world, and we have more than 135 killed, like people killed by that, and they were unarmed protesters. And we have more than 6,000 wounded. So that is really tragedy. Tragedy in a country is supposed to be democratic. So because of that, I have to mention them. And in fulfillment of their souls, their families, wives, daughters, we have to tell them that we will never forget them. This novel is the part of our story, actually. This is that was very tragic story. It's born with war, and we grow up under the toughest siege in the modern history. It was a cultural, economic siege, and it was really tough in that time. So when I wrote that novel, I didn't intend to write a story it's representing something like Baghdad or something else. I'm just representing the city of my imagination. And I didn't want the past gonna be vanished. I don't want it to be vanished, and because of that, I wrote that. I didn't want the people to read our stories from headline in the news, like war in Iraq, the children of Iraqis died. We had life under the sky of rockets. We had joy, happiness, love stories, our songs, our culture inside that tragedy circumstances. So thank you for introducing me. Thank you for listening. And let's do. You prefer to start with reading?
Sure. We have a couple passages we'd like to share with you. We also have, some questions that I could ask Shahad to help frame the novel and share with you what it's about and the process of her writing. And then, ideally, we'd like to get your questions as well. We hope you've come with some, or else we'll think of some. I'm also happy to talk about the translation process and how I became involved and how meaningful that's been to me. Not only enjoyable to help me learn Arabic better and to be playing with English, but then also to help authors like Shahad bring their work to a wider audience, to amplify Shahad's voice into the world. But the first passage that we wanted to read, the video sets it up a little bit, the kind of how this book progresses. It follows the life of a girl growing up in the 1990s, and how war is going on, the economic siege is going on, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, and yet it's not about the war, it's about a girl growing up and trying to make a life in those conditions. And the first passage that we've selected is leading up to the second Gulf War, and the teenage girl starts to talk to the war and try to, imagining what's coming in light of what she experienced as a young girl. So.
Yeah, she tried to chasing the war, and she tried to do some irony of the word. She has a sense of humor, she could give a message for that nearly word that it's gonna be coming. So she said, she's a teenager, by the way. This is a teenager period.
If you have the Arabic and want to follow along, it's on page 157,
57.
and in English, it's on page 146. After Shahad reads in Arabic, I'll also read in English.
الحرب قادمة، لم يعد هنالك مجال للشك في هذا. نحن نعرفها جيدا ونتنفس رائحتها في الهواء. ها هو مغناطيسها يحرك الأشياء عن أماكنها من دون أن يلامسها. نحن نتحرك كالدبابيس الناعمة تحت تأثير شحناتها السالبة. لقد فقدنا الحس بمعرفة الاتجاهات. من فوق سطح بيتنا أقف مرة أخرى فوق خزان المياه، أتفقد سفينتنا وأشرعتها العالية في الآفاق البعيدة. أفرك عيني وأترقب الحرب، أحدد لها أهدافها بدقة. لقد أصبحت خبيرة بالمكان، خبيرة بالحروف وأهدافها. أعرف ما الذي تبحث عنه بالضبط. تعالي تعالي أيتها الحرب الصديقة. هذا برج المأمون وهذه ساعة بغداد. تلك البناية العالية وذلك المطار. اذهبي إلى شارع الرشيد، ثمة أبراج وبنايات بتبارك. اذهبي نحو جسر الجمهورية، هناك بناية جميلة اسمها وزارة التخطيط. تعالي من هذا الاتجاه، ارمي حمولتك هنا، استديري قليلا للوراء. هذه محطة الكهرباء، ليس بعيدا عنها هناك خزان المياه الكبير. تقربي قليلا قليلا وانزلي الصواريخ علينا. ارمي أثقالك في أي مكان ترغبين. أنت هذه المرة وحيدة في الساحة. نحن منهكون ومتعبون ويائسون. تعالي وتخلصي منا مثل نفايات بشرية لا حاجة لهذا العالم بها. نحن أيضا لم نعد بحاجة إلى هذا العالم. يمر سرب من الطيور في السماء، أرفع عيني نحوها وأدير رقبتي صوب مجال طيرانها وأشتهي خفتها. كم هي سعيدة هذه المخلوقات التي تعيش بلا وطن. أريد أن أطير معها، أحلق بعيدا. أريد أن أعيش في عالم جديد، عالم بلا حروب. أيتها السماء تلطفي بي مرة واحدة. لقد تعبت من الوطن. Thank you.
I'll read that passage and one page in addition as well to share a little bit more of the characters of the story and where they are in this setting. War was coming. There was no longer any possible doubt about it. We all knew it. We breathed it in the air. Without any contact, its magnetic force shifted things out of place. We moved like iron filings under the influence of its negative charge, having lost all sense of direction. Up on the roof of our house, I stood on the water tank a second time, inspecting our ship and its high sails on the distant horizon. I rubbed my eyes and watched for war, the goals of which I could define precisely. I had become an expert on this place, an expert on war and all its ends. I know exactly what it sought. Come along, war, my old friend. This is Ma'mun Tower. This is the Baghdad Clock. The tall buildings are over there, and that is the airport. Go to Ar-Rashid Street, where towers and buildings wait for you. Try the Bridge of the Republic, where you will find a tall building called the Ministry of Planning. Come over this way and drop your payload here. Turn back a little. There is the power station, and not far from it is the big water tank. Come a little closer and drop your bombs on us. Throw down your burden anywhere you like. This time you stand alone in the arena. We are exhausted and in despair. Come, get rid of us like human scraps, superfluous to this world. We too no longer have any need of it. A squadron of birds moves across the sky. I lift my eyes and turn my face towards the arc of their flight, longing for their lightness. How happy are these creatures who live without country? I want to fly with them, to soar far away. I want to live in a new world, a world without wars. Oh heavens, be good to me just this once. I have become tired of our homeland. Our primary school was turned into a military barracks. The middle school became a missile depot. Anti-aircraft guns were erected on top of the high school, their muzzles circling the sky. Nadia came to our house looking for me. She found me on the roof, watching for the war. Come on, she said, taking me by the hand and leading me towards the garden. I want to spend this night in the shelter. I want to live there again. Last time, I was a child and did not understand what it means for people to run away from death. Come with me tonight. Have you gone mad, Nadia? No, not at all. I just want to experience the meaning of running away from death. But the war hasn't begun. The shelters are locked. Come on, let's just try it. Let's race war and laugh in its face. If nothing else, let's try running away from life. I went out with her on a scouting mission to find the shelter. The concrete building was surrounded with barbed wire, the dust of 12 years of neglect stacked up against it. Stray dogs and starving cats slept in its shadow. 12 years had passed since we met in this desolate place. No one at all had been inside since the last night we had spent there. The country no longer needed air raid shelters. Fleeing death was no longer a vital matter. The important thing now was escaping life. Nadia squeezed through the barbed wire, and I followed. I matched her steps as she headed for the small door we used to go through. We reached the narrow staircase where we used to play as children. She stood up to her full height on the 5th step and leaped through the air. When her feet hit the floor, she clapped for herself in delight. She urged me to jump too, and I stood on the same step. I pretended to be afraid and walked down, laughing at how crazy she was. Then I went back up and jumped in the air. I wonder, Shahad, if you could tell us a little bit more about the narrator in this book. And who is this young girl that we're listening to?
The narrator.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the narrator, it's a little bit complicated. It has complicated personality. She had a kind of memory that it's mixed up between the kind of imagination, illusion, and she couldn't recognize what kind of memory she has. So she started to think about the neighborhood as a big ship. So everything is related by illusion, and she had this kind of mixed up scenes in her mind. So she started to chasing that thought that she had. But I tend to put like the narrator like it's a name. The narrator. I didn't want to put a name for it because I believe that the reader can share with writing. You can share me with this kind of writing if you read the narrator very well and you just figure out that the narrator is you. Maybe the narrator is your friend, someone you know, and you can just give her a name. You just add the personality to her, like an aspect to her, and you could play with that kind of writing. So because of that, I tend to put this kind of I try to write. I'm sorry, I can't read English very well, but I have a broken English with the speaking, so just excuse me. Yeah. So because of that, the narrator she wanted to share with you that you can put for her a destiny. you can put for her name. You can just make her fly, and you can decide it, who is she. So yeah.
Are there other characters? Can you tell us about other characters in the book that you particularly enjoyed writing about?
Yeah. You know, the writer in general cannot talk about the character as that this is my favorite, this is not, because it's like a father of all the characters, so, or mother. So for me, when I create that kind of all of these characters, I felt that I have to question myself, like who I am, who's this? Those is part of me. So after when I finished the story and the readers interact with the stories, many people liked Biryad, the dog, and many people liked Uncle Shaukat. And I questioning myself, who is Biryad? He came from where? He came from nowhere, by the way. Because when she was a child, I remember when we were a child, we asked, like we used to ask ourselves, like we ask our mother even, Mom, where's the parents of this dog? Where's the school of this dog? She left on us. Like, oh, doesn't make a sense, sweetheart. Like, yeah, where's his father? And from that point of view, the dog came with her imagination. He came from nowhere, and he was so playful, and he has a deep loyalty to the neighborhood, to the place, and to the people, and because of that, I think, yeah, Biryad is very close to me because his destiny was so mean and cruel. I was so harsh to him when I make him suicide. But he just figured out that the neighborhood is, you cannot, he couldn't stand the neighborhood without their people. So he decided to suicide. Just imagine the dog in that neighborhood, he couldn't stand that. What about the people there? So this is the reality. Yeah. For me, Nayada, she's so close to me because this is a true story. I remember there when I was a child, I used to see in my neighborhood a very charming, gorgeous girl, and I was very admire her. I said, oh my God, she's gorgeous. I want to be like her when I grow up. And after she vanished, no one heard about her anything. That after that, I figure out that she's killed by her brother because he found her talking on the phone with someone she loved, and that left very deep impact on me. I was very upset, and I remember she used to have a song from 1990s. So when the process of writing, during writing, she came to me. Miyades came to me. I changed the name, by the way. She came to me, and the song was the background, and I was deeply affected by that scenes. And she created her destiny, and she revenged to herself in that novel. So yes, maybe I was affected by her. Yeah, thank you so much.
Are there other characters beyond Mayada that are drawn from real life? Are they from your imagination, or what is the relationship? Where do the characters come from that the narrator sees in the neighborhood around her?
Let's be frank, guys. No one can speak widely and frankly about from where he bring that character and he create this character, because the writing process is something infused and something you cannot give it a real description. It's something, I don't know, it's magical. So I question myself that I wrote it from where? That's for sure. I noticed many characters, and even like related to them, and even I was very interested to the anthropology related by the Iraqi society. So I knew them very well. Even when I saw any Iraqis from whatever, where he's far away, I know he's Iraqi and he's from that place, and he's sad because of that. I know everything about them, and I love them so much. So maybe, they came from my memory, and memory, I repeat, the memory action is something you cannot figure out. It's mixed by the illusion, dreams, imagination, even genes that related by memories. So the memory sometimes imposed a scene. She bring you a scene that I want to remember something else, but the scenes started to came again and again because the memory wants you to remember that, and you cannot figure out why. So all of this, like I talk about the process of writing, and it's not reality. It's my attempt to understand why I wrote that novel. Just attempt.
Well, I wonder about maybe we could do another section. And one.
You start.
Okay. I'll do this one in English first. The next passage is about the narrator falling in love for the first time, and that's one of the things that Shahad has spoken about, the fact that even as a war is going on, even as sanctions are going on, people are still finding a way to live their life, and part of that is going to school and meeting boys and falling in love, and as you'll see, it's first she's describing this how it happens to her after having seen it happen to her friend. So if you have the book, it's page 77 in the English, 77 in the Arabic, and 69 in the English. Previously, I had been living the love story of Nadia and Ahmed, enjoying it like a television series whose events were happening immediately before my eyes. I knew they loved each other, but what did it mean that they loved each other? How did this love happen? Why did their features change when they met? I did not know any of that. I only knew their love from the outside, as the events of a love story that my friend was living, and not from inside the love itself, nor in the midst of the secret feelings that were born in the soul, igniting the mind and making the heart beat faster. Then Farouk came, calm and quiet. He stood before me, face to face, and said, "I love you." He stole my peace of mind and infused my spirit with anxiety. I began to think about him all the time. I would look for him in the street. Each time I passed by the door of his house, I would turn to look. His name was on the tip of my tongue. His image filled my mind. I felt love like a gentle current of electricity touching my soul. I became obsessed with songs and music. Whereas I had previously been devoted to television, the shows no longer interested me. Not Adnan and Lina, not Sinbad and Yasmina. I had new heroes. Khadim al-Sahir, Haytham Yusuf, Hatim al-Iraqi, Ismail al-Farwachi, Muhammad Musa.
He's good at it, huh?
You ask me why I love you, why I love you. You ask my torment and madness, my longing. People don't ask the sun why it shares its light. People don't ask the moon why it brings them together at night. I would not ask Farouk why he loved me, nor would I tell him why I loved him. Because people do not know why the sun bestows its light, and love is like the sun. We cannot tell why it makes us fly above the ground. It is not true that he loved me because I cut him a bunch of unripe grapes in the garden and put them in his hand. He loved me for some other reason. He did not know why, nor did I.
Thank you. So this passage is talking about, even the narrator was so teenager, and this is the first love, like with her, under the sky of rockets, even the sky of war. كنت في السابق أعيش قصة حب نادية وأحمد وأستمتع بها مثل مسلسل تلفزيوني تقع أحداثه مباشرة أمامي. كنت أعرف أنهما يحبان بعضهما، ولكن ما معنى أن يحبا بعضهما؟ كيف يحدث هذا الحب؟ لماذا تتغير ملامحها حين تلتقي؟ كل هذا لم أكن أعرفه، كنت أعرف الحب من الخارج، من أحداث قصة حب تعيشها صديقتي، وليس من داخل الحب نفسه، ليس من وسط المشاعر السرية التي تولد في الروح وتشغل البال وتجعل القلب ينبض سريعا. جاء فاروق وبكل هدوء ووقف أمامي وجها لوجه وقال لي: أنا أحبك. سلبني راحة البال وأدخل القلق إلى نفسي. رحت أفكر به طوال الوقت، صرت أبحث عنه في الطريق وألتفت في كل مرة أمر فيها عند باب بيته، اسمه على طرف لساني وصورته في خيالي. شعرت بالحب مثل تيار كهربائي خفيف يمس روحي. أحببت الأغاني والموسيقى وتعلقت بالتلفزيون. لم تعد تستهويني الرسوم المتحركة، لا عدنان ولينا ولا سندباد ولا ياسمينة. صار عندي أبطال جدد غيرهم: كاظم الساهر وهيثم يوسف، حاتم العراقي وإسماعيل الفروجي ومهند محسن. تسأليني ليش أحبك؟ ليش أحبك؟ تسأليني عن عذابي، عن جنوني، عن حنين. الناس ما سألوا شمسهم ليش تنطيهم ضوء، الناس ما سألوا قمرهم ليش يجمعهم سوا. لا أسأل فاروق لماذا يحبني، ولا أقول له لماذا أحبه، لأن الناس لا يعرفون لماذا تمنحهم الشمس ضوءها. والحب مثل الشمس، يجب أن لا نسأله لماذا يجعلنا نطير في الهواء. ليس صحيحا هو يحبني لأنني قطفت له من قمريتنا عنقودا من العنب لم ينضج بعد ووضعته بين يديه. إنه يحبني لسبب آخر هو لا يعرفه وأنا لا أعرفه أيضا.
Shahad, I wonder if you could tell us, this is your first novel, your debut novel. How did you write it? What was the writing process? Where were you and when did you do it? How long did it take?
I remember I was in Dubai, and I didn't tend to write a novel that is gonna be translated to more than 12 languages, and I didn't tend to write a novel with awarded by many prizes, and I love writing just as easy as this, and I have many imagination aspects in my mind, and I have many dreams, and I have many memories, and I love this story of mine. This is not a story of mine, but this is the story of my imagination that I wanted to live, and I couldn't. So once there is a child inside me, a playful child. She liked to play too much, and she yelling inside me, write my story, started with me, write my story, I'm in the shelter, I'm stuck in the shelter. I said, okay, just calm down, I'll write, and started. And I started with the child language. And she was very child, she was very stubborn even, she was very playful, and she started to makes me clean my mind from many ideological aspects, from many, maybe from religion, from everything that I gained through my life. So I started to look at things very in kind of abstract. I was so abstract, like I look at things in abstract way, if I could see that and say that. So it was very weird to me to look from the child eyes and started to tell her story. It was 2015, I remember. It took me more than 1 year and a half. And I just found it, everything is Even the future chapter, by the way, I read many comments on what the application is called, Goodread. Yeah, they said, oh my God, she's genius. How she changed the narrator to a future book. The future started to talk, the destiny of the characters. And I figured that I was very lazy and I wanted to finish the story and I don't have any way to finish that story. So there's a thought came to my mind that, okay, let's change the narrator. There is a book. He can speak and give a voice to the ended of the story, ended of the stories of the characters, and that's simple. And I'm glad to be lazy actually. I'm very glad. So this is the story. But you have to know something, like in my personality, I do questioning the dualities, and I do questioning many things, even certainty. And I love to doubt in everything, and even doubt about the history, the solid history that we have in all of our nations, even not just in Iraq. So that makes me even that was a motivation for me to push that thoughts and to dare to ask that kind of questions. Yeah.
You mentioned that the future steps into the narration and takes over the role of the narrator and addresses the narrator. And that's not the only part where we see a lot of the imagination process. And where Biryat, the dog you mentioned, that comes out of nowhere. There's also, I guess there's this scene where the narrator and her friend Nadia are sent into the afterlife.
Yeah.
And they have a strange and magical experience there. What is the role of these magical elements, and where does this imagination come from?
Okay. First of all, thank you for a question. First of all, the novel is the only place that you can see the wolf singing a song or the wolf talk. We have an open space, and we can tell many kind of stories without trumping each other stories like. So because of that, this kind of imagination, it's kind of even questioning the certainty and in the Iraqis' mind. What is about the afterlife? What do you think about the afterlife? If I want to ask you, everyone in this like a class has an imagination about the afterlife. And I tried to shake that certainty, to give many scenes about that. And even the deeply roots of the Iraqi people, they have bonded with their homeland. This is historical things, by the way, and it's related by genes, by anthropological. Even if you study the ethnology that we have, you can figure out that they are bonded to their homeland in a crazy way. It doesn't make a sense. Even I can know the Iraqi when I just look at his face, there's a tear in his eyes. This is the Iraqi. When you say Iraqi, he gonna sleep. He gonna cry. So this is very emotional. They are so emotional. Even they are so strong. They have many dualities inside their personality, and that's nice and not nice at the same time. So I wanted to figure out to create a new Baghdad in afterlife. There is your city. You can find your city afterlife. How could you imagine it? There's many certainty in your mind is gonna be shaped. Yeah, so this is a thing. Second, I am very dreamer person and I have very big imagination. And I think that because my father was taking me to, we said Takia, it's kind of Sufism place. it was a very superstitious place. It was very magical place. They believe in many things, and they do something very like metaphysics actions. So that gave me that imagination because I was so young and I was a child. And yeah, there's part of me very critical, like very critic, and there is the romance part of me. So because of that, I have many dreams. I don't know what I have to do with it. Even every day I can dream maybe like a Turkish series, non-stop.
Yeah.
And when I just wake up, I figure out that I slept half an hour. So that affected even my kind of writing, my personality, yeah.
Okay. Well, I could keep asking Shahad questions about the novel and her imagination and the process, but I also want to make sure that we have space for your questions as well. So, does anybody, Zainab?
Thank you.
Your name is Zainab?
Yes,
Oh, you know?
Yeah, because we talked before.
That's amazing.
It's such an honor to meet you, Shahad. So thank you for speaking here. You mentioned a few times that there were a few times where you almost wanted to stop writing the book and quit, and then you decided, no, you'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like, so what were some of the challenges you faced while writing a book, and how did you deal with them?
Yeah, thank you for your comment and for the nice question. For me, yeah, I had a conflict inside myself. Like, I really need to finish this novel. And I was so like affected by writing that kind of stories because it takes my emotions too much. I cried too much. I was so honest. This is the first challenge. The second challenge I had, like, I was a play. No, I didn't tend to write something really good. I was a play. And let's be frank. That's I remember Marquis when he won the Nobel Prize. He said they swallow the lies. Yeah, and I have like, until now I have this doubt. Like I doubt to myself. Like I question myself time to time. Like is that good or bad? Is I am good as a writing or bad? And I have this, I feel sometimes I'm empty. I don't have anything to give. And sometimes I feel, no, I have a story to tell. So I think you have many writers, they have this challenge in their self, conflict. They even shake the certainty in their self, and they do ask many questions about what is writing, what is the purpose of writing, why I am here, who I am. And and when I figured, like, I just figured that when I wrote that story, I tried to ask myself who I am, and who's Baghdad, and where is Baghdad, and who is my neighborhood, and what is love. So I think this is a big challenge. You have to hesitate. You have to hesitate, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to read another passage?
Can I ask a question?
Of course, yeah.
I
You have many here.
I do. So you'll have to stop. When you get sick, you just say stop. For me, when I want to know a writer, I want to know what is on their bookshelf. What books are on your bookshelf? And not just the ones that are going to impress people, but the trash. So what are the sorts of things you read?
That's a very nice question. Okay, I have two answers. One of them very frank, and one of them it's a frank, but it's like a kind of novelist talk. Yeah. So I will give you the two because I'm very generous.
But don't tell us which is which. We'll have to figure out.
You have to figure out. Started with reading. I I'm a good reader. I can say that about me because I love reading. And when I read any novel, I cannot read as a writer. My mind is set up as a reader. So because of that, I cannot be affected by the kind of writers or the shape of writing as a writer. I'm affected as a reader, that's it. So because of that, I'm really deeply affected by Milan Kundera. I love him so much. Even I never, I could never write something like him because I wrote like a fiction, something related with life and with the ordinary people. And he's a thinker, philosopher, and I was deeply affected by Stephen Zweig too. I like everything that he write, even his biography, and I like Marquise too much. Even Marquise, he affected me. But the second story that I remember when I was a child. My father is a full professor. He's an economist. He's in economy. So all of the shelves that we had, it's something related by economy. So I wanted to read because I love literature, and I was so child. So I remember we have a neighbor, my neighbor. Her name is Haytham. She didn't finish her primary school, but she was a really good reader. She has many kind of shelves and many kind of books and novels, and she had a small shelf. I was so short, so I can't pick books. So this shelves included many novels without ending. It's trapped because it's very old, and so I started to read the stories without ending, and I put my own end. I read. Because of that, I believe in sharing the writing reader with the novelist. Because I used to write the end, and till now I'm curious about that end. Many of that books I didn't read it again, but I remember my own end, and that's lead me to say something. In Arabic literature, we have a small problem, that many novelists, even the old one, they believe in teaching the readers. They thought the reader is their son, and they teaching them with their script, and they have this sense of advices. And I don't like this actually, and I figure out this is very dangerous because the novelist is not above anybody, even not above the reader, not above his text. So all of this element, it created the plot of the novel. So yeah, you have the two answers, so you can figure out.
Well, now you make me curious to know, who is your reader? Who is your first reader? Who is the first person you share?
In my mind or in the reality?
Either way.
Oh, yeah, just like
in your mind and in real life.
Okay. In my mind, I have many kind of readers because when I wrote this story, I was thinking internationally as an outsider and push local emotions inside the story. So it was mixed up between outsider and insider person. And I think this is the reader, like many kind of people around the world, because even I'm very deeply related by my country, but I can say that I am outsider too. I believe in a global citizen, and I believe in this kind of bonded between us. And I believe in the humanity can feel the pain, the same pain, the same joy, the same happiness, and I believe in that. So because of that, there's many readers outside or inside my mind, and I had a very local emotions. I push it inside the script. The first one who read the novel is my mom, because she thought that she had to check everything, even my dress, even my rings, even my novels, everything. She had to read it first. Yeah, so she's the first reader. Yeah.
Wait. Can I ask Luke? Can I ask you a question? Someone, I don't know who, either I read this or someone said it in a lecture and I didn't write down the name who said it, but described translation as riding two horses at the same time. And these two horses are galloping. And they're not going in the same direction. But your job is to ride both of them. And how is it to work with Shahad's text? And what are some of the ways in which those horses are pulling you in different directions?
We have cat. Cat and dog inside this story. We play with this too.
Yeah, there are all kinds of metaphors. We could do a cat and dog metaphor, but this horse metaphor is fun too as an idea of translation, and the idea of riding both horses. And you're trying to get them to go in the same direction, but they're, maybe running in parallel and jumping over different rocks and bushes at the different times, and some going a little bit fast, a little bit slower. And so it's pretty exhilarating. It's tons of fun. The Arabic text is a thing in itself. This magical work of art that has excited me and that I'm passionate about bringing into English. But then the English text also has to work as a literary text in my native language. And Arabic and English, they have a different rhythm. They use words differently. Their sentence structure can be very different, and they have different potentials in terms of how you subordinate clauses to each other. And so every page, every paragraph requires you to make decisions, and there's no obvious answer, which is part of the joy of translation for me. Learning Arabic, playing with English. So yeah, that's the. Does that answer the?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I sent it to him many pictures of Baghdad house and many links of the Iraqi songs, and he's being an expert in Iraqi dialect.
Shahad is too nice, but that's referring to our translation process. There was a lot about this book that was fairly easy to translate. Capturing the spirit or feeling the spirit as I wrote was not that hard. Shahad talked about how she has this maybe an international vision, and she's spoken about the connections between people across cultures, and I could feel that in this. The descriptions of the emotions of the children as they're growing up, the teenagers as they have their fights at school or fall in love. I mean, these are things that I could imagine and then recreate in English. The harder parts were the houses. What does a house look like in Baghdad? I know what a house looks like in Wisconsin, where I grew up. I know what houses look like in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but Baghdad, not so much. And when the characters are moving around spaces, that was harder to imagine. And so that was one of the, when I finished, when I had a draft that I felt very comfortable with, I still had a list of questions, and I would send the first, maybe the 20 most important questions to Shahad and see how patient she would be or how much time she had to help me understand these things I was uncertain about. And she sent back, instead of describing in more words, because she's already given me so many thousand words, she sent back pictures of houses and pictures of the backyards of these houses, pictures of the Baghdad Clock, some of the other spaces in Baghdad where the action takes place to help me picture this. And then, as she mentioned, sending me lots of links to songs, and also translating some of the dialect into Fusha, or kind of explaining the meaning, so that I could understand that and translate that better.
And I sent it to him many pictures of Baghdad. I know the house looked like in King Richard, Massachusetts, but when he had a draft that I felt very comfortable with, I still had a list of questions. And
I have a quick question, well, actually two. Shahad, when you chose to write, I haven't read the book yet, inshallah, I hope to get a chance to do that. But it sounds like you've chosen to write the Fusha for the most part, with a few Danish or like Ammi here and there in the dialogue, or dialogue between characters. What made you choose that instead of, there's a trend for Arabic to go towards writing in the Ammi more so. So I was just curious why your choice, especially the younger writers, why you chose to do Fusha, and also was that because you want? Well, yeah. That's curiosity.
First of all, thank you. The novel is written by Fusha, but I have in the conversation between the characters was in Iraqi dialects, and I wanted to impose that because I play with the identity. I want to impose the identity inside the plot and the story. So the identity is very related by the accent or the dialects. Even in Iraq, we be through the toughest stage in the modern history. So many people, they prevent to hear us as Iraqi people. They didn't heard our dialects for decades. So because of that, I wanted to push the reality inside that kind of conversation, and I wanted to like empower the identity inside it. And this is the kind of the narrator tent, not my tent, you know. Thank you.
Can I ask you another question?
Yalla.
Would you say that writing this novel changed you?
Okay. Yeah, of course. Writing this novel is like driving me to the USA. I didn't even take rest from the PhD. Yeah, it makes me, it makes me feel scared sometimes because they take me very serious, and I love the freedom of writing, to write as a just person who found herself that he has a story. But this kind of we translated more than 12 languages, and this kind of makes me feel that there is a huge responsibility on me. I have to be a professional novelist, and I don't want to be like this. So yes, it changed me. It makes me stronger. It makes me figure out, like looking at the stories of others more seriously. Like I wanted to tell, to put my thing in other shoe, and I wanted to be more compassionate with others, and to be aware for the minority, for the people who doesn't have a voice, for the people who are powerless. So I had this kind of, it's increase inside me that I have to be more human, that I am. It changed my destiny. Everything related by this novel is so magical, even the process of writing. I met many people, they are so magical people, some circumstances comes without any sense, and change. Yes.
Okay, I'm Blake, Zainab's brother. I have a question about your process. And so when you decide to communicate something in this novel, you want to include something, have you ever come across like a situation in which you decided to keep something for another novel? And the question also is like, the sub question is, when you think of the next novel, how different will it be, or similar? And like, how do these ideas diverge? Like, do you actually say, I want to talk about this, this, and that, or focus more, or I'll keep this for a future novel and go in more detail there? Like, how do you ever think of those processes?
Thank you for a question. This is a very nice question. For me, actually, I didn't have mission with writing. I think writing is something artistical, like I did. We said in الممارسة فنية. How can I say that in English?
Artistic practice.
Yeah, it's artistic practice. Like I paint something. It's not about like I have mission and I have something to tell. It's kind of, first of all, I have to play with that art that I have inside myself, and because of that, everything the narrator she wanted to tell, she tell it. I'm just a passenger. There's many parts of me seeking the stories that inside me, inside the others. I don't know, but I think the whole story is done by the narrative. My conscious mind was very aware. Yeah, I was not very aware to what's happening inside that, and I didn't have a mission. I had many stories to tell, and you decided what the mission that you get. Yeah, and the second novel, I finished.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I finished my second novel, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Above the Bridge, فوق جسر الجمهورية.
And it's related?
It's started from 2003. Yeah, but it's chasing the Iraqis people after war and after migration. And the narrator has a kind of a trauma, because she started the novel with losing her mom. And you can find in that new novel, like I had many complicated characters with complicated, and we have a character like he's interested by the star signs. And I have comedy, tragedy, irony, sense of humor, many that mixed in. I think it's more advanced than the Baghdad Clock, because I enjoyed it much more, and I was very deeply affected. Even the mother, when she died in the first of the story, and everything started to reshape itself. The Baghdad Clock, it's to put a new, to restart, to reschedule the past. That what is the past is. I wanted to reshape the past, and I wanted to understand the past when I be very mature. So we need to reshape our past, and we need, I think, we have a problem in the Middle East, I think. Yeah, we have a problem that everybody who is, how can I say that? Can I say it in Arabic? Because I cannot talk intellectual in English. This is too much for me. عندنا ظالم وعندنا مظلوم. عندنا مشكلة مع الذاكرة. كل مظلوم أشاهده في الميدل إيست يحمل ذاكرة لمدة قرون، وكل ظالم ليس له ذاكرة. إحنا محتاجين نبدل أدوار الذاكرة. الظالم يتذكر جيدا والمظلوم ينسى، حتى نعيد تشكيل العلاقات من جديد. أنا قابلت كثير ناس they are so young with very old memory, and I met many people, they are so young with no memory, and they are so old with no memory. So we needed to reconnect this connection, this relationship between us.
Beautiful. Hope you put that in a book.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to
No, I
and
didn't
Luke,
put it.
please translate that in because you've done a really great job.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry to cut off the conversation just when it's getting going, but I'm sure that Shahad will be around to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to just put a punctuation note right now to this. Thank you, Shahad. Thank you, Luke,
Mr.
for coming tonight. They named your family correctly.
Oh, yeah.
They really did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
and being here with us tonight.
Thank
And
you
thank
so
you all for coming.
Thank you.